the space for thinking is a political action, which can be dangerous, and that's why Chantal's work is so political, because it gives a space of thinking. I have the feeling that there was something very strong between us from the beginning, like something very intuitive, something very immediate. Immediately we got along very well and we were watching things the same way. And then through the years, it's like if we were discovering each other more and more. But also discovering our work together. I think each work was a really new adventure. We didn't have any methodology. We were just searching each time deeper. And so I think it's the same path, but crossing many other encounters. And there was something very special and interesting in our journey, working journey, is the discovery of the work on the installations, and that began in 1995 with the creation of Desk Bordering of Fiction. This discovery opened for us new ways of working, new horizons. It was always the same and always different. I think the most important thing, and which is also my political involvement in creation, is to build the relationship to images that respect their mystery and not use them as to carry any message, but just to meet them as alive material, as we say in French, matière, and not ways of transmitting informations or a message, political or ideological. I think the images should be considered as existing by themselves and not being serving any purpose. And I think that's the best way to resist to the multiplication of images, which is really the contrary of what's happening today with the images everywhere. When I see people looking at images on their phones and just sliding from images, from one image to another one, without really taking time to feel it, it frightens me in a way. And probably the best way to resist to that is to trust time. I have a little problem with the word career because I never started my career with the consciousness of starting a career. I was just trying to discover what life is and what work is and how you can work in life and live in working. I didn't really know what it was, editing, I think. And I'm not sure I still know what it is. I think in a way what I know a little more than before is the very close link between life and editing. When I work on a film and when I'm searching a film, I don't want to know where I'm going. I want to discover while doing, and I don't want to decide before working what I want to say or even what I want to search for. And it's when the film is finding its form and it's really beginning to live that I understand more and more what it means and what it tells us. And I think it's the same way as we should have the freedom of building our lives. And anyway, it's like this that I did. That means that I was lucky to be very curious, to go in many directions. I was very interested in. I had a very difficult relationship to words, as if words could lead people too easily to lying. And I had a very strong relationship to images. And I think that led me to discover this Chinese language, which is built on the association of images creating signification. And that led me to study Chinese. But I didn't know what I wanted to do with that. At the same time, I was very interested in sciences. I liked mathematics, technique, work, building also. And I experienced all these things, and then I had also the opportunity to meet some people, and especially, of course, Chantal Akerman. But it's my curiosity that led me to meet her, and then I started to edit. First, I started to film and even record sounds, and then edit. And when I discovered editing, I thought it was that I wanted to continue, but I didn't know why, and I didn't know what I had done that had led me to that. And it's years after, many years after, like 15 years ago, in kind of, I think about 2010, when people began to ask me, how did you arrive here? What did you do? What led you to editing? That I questioned myself, and I understood that all this curiosity, the interest in Chinese language and Chinese philosophy, the interest in emptiness, and also Chinese poetry, Chinese painting, all those things I discovered led me to be the editor and the person I am now. So, and I think it's really the same thing with a film. You begin, you don't know, you listen, you try, you respect the mystery of the images, and then the film begins to exist, and all of a sudden it leads you somewhere. I'm sure Chantal would have been very happy to have this award, because she always wanted to reach many people. She didn't want to reach only some educated people, really not. So I think she would have been happy, but at the same time I think she would have probably laughed also a little bit, because it's the notion of the best film ever is special. I think she would have been happy, and I'm really sure that the reason why she would have been happy, and that's the same reason for which I am happy, it's that in a way it's a political victory, in the sense that it's a cinema victory. It's a way of saying that cinema is political. But it's not only, of course, it's linked to the subject, so-called, but it's really linked to the form of the film, to the fact that the film is so open, that it's not carrying a message, but it's just a way of opening feelings and leading people to think about some situations. Yeah, I think the situation has improved because much more people think about this, and many people question the image of women in films, and also the fact that the women are not considered in the working process, and many people are realizing that it's difficult, that the situation is difficult. But I think there is still a lot of work to do. I think this it will be a very long process. I think it will be a very long process, and I think that sometimes some people try to maybe go too fast in a way, not by saying important things or fighting. I think it's very important to fight to defend women who are not well treated or abused in working situation. That I'm really very much involved in this struggle, but I think that the changing of mind in what is cinema will be a very long process, and I don't think it's interesting to say there is a difference between films made by women and films made by men. I have never liked the Women Films Festival, as I don't really like festival of special people coming from this region or this other region. I think it's a process that we should all take, in which we should all take part, and that we should together reach something that will be different, but without forbidding ways of thinking and ways of feeling. It has to come from the inside. And that's why I'm so happy that it's Jeanne Dielman, because Jeanne Dielman is not doesn't carry any ideological message. It's more profound than that. And as Chantal was saying, she didn't make a woman's film. She's a woman and she made a film, and that's very important for me. That it has to be possible for women to make films, but we shouldn't say that there is a woman way of making films.
In the book I'm reading, someone says, Rabbi never stopped pestering us. One day we'll have to look Israel straight on, without reservation or procrastination. We won't escape it.
In fact, I have always had the feeling that Chantal's work was very contemporary, and I was always surprised when that people were not running to the cinema when when she was showing a film. And so it's true, it arrives now, it happens now. I think it reaches a moment where people are probably wondering more about what is ideology, what is politics, what is art. And we are in a period where there is a very dangerous direction of right-wing taking power, of a situation where some people want to put other people in silence. It's also a period in which people are very much afraid of taking risks. So even to get money to make a film, it's more difficult than before, because the distributors, the producers, they want to have insurance of what you're going to do, which is really against the art process. And at the same time, there is a growing resistance. And I think probably Chantal's work and Chantal's behavior and Chantal's energy is helping this resistance. And also, I think it's not possible to put Chantal in any box. And that's what makes her work and artwork and cinema so strong.
Écoute.
Et pourquoi tu me filmes là, moi?
Ben, je filme tout le monde, maman.
Hein?
Évidemment, toi plus spécialement que les autres.
I can't answer to this question because I'm not somebody who's dreaming of working with anyone. Because I don't have this, habit of saying, oh, if I would do that, it would be so great. I'm often building my path when things come to me. I had never thought I would work with Wang Bing, and it happened last year, and it was very important for me, and it was a very, very strong encounter. And when I look at from now and think of it, I think it's normal in a way, because I was so interested in Chinese language, Chinese philosophy, China, and but I didn't really think it would happen, and that's how I like life in a way. So.
1966年文化革命开始，我已经在大同驻辽阳疗养院工作至今已经不少了，半夜大叫。
No, I don't want to direct a film. I like being in this position of editing, which is for me a very, very important position, and even it's in a way a political position, because in the situation where we are now, as I was talking a few minutes ago, it's more difficult for creators, for young filmmakers to take risks in the process of making a film, because people ask them a lot of guarantees, and so editing is the place where you can help a film to be what it should really be, and or you can close it and make a very flat object. And so I think it's for me an important place to be, to protect the heart beating of creation in films, or in young filmmakers' films. And that's also why for me it's important to teach, to share my experience, because I think it's editing is a place where you can really resist and help people to resist to the fear.
ton documentaire?
Non, je suis à New York maintenant.
There is not a big difference between documentary and fiction films. Of course, for a fiction film, I read the script before, so in a way I know the trajectoire of the film, the journey of the film a little bit more. But it's a film is the structure of the film, the narration of a film always comes from the rhythm, and so I work on the rhythm the same way on fiction than in documentary, and there is not only one line of storytelling in a film, and even in a fiction film you work many other layers of tension, of storytelling even. So it's a little bit different, but not that much. And also I have this faculty of forgetting. So even if I know the script and I've read it many times, it's always a little bit mysterious, and I understand the film when it's growing and not only when I read the script, because there are so many other things that happen in the image and in the sound. So it's of course it's different, but it's the same way of working. When I build an installation, I work on the resonances and echoes of images and sound, not only after each other, but also next to each other. And I work the editing in space. So it's a different, fiction, documentary, installations. It's three ways of working that are very different and very similar.
Tu sais qu'avant, je savais bien le lire encore.
Mais ça s'efface. Il faut absolument les photocopies parce qu'on n'aura plus de traces.
Regarde cette écriture, tout petit comme ça. Tu as vu ça?
I think it's not that cinema is changing. I think the world is changing. The human beings are changing. Everything is changing, and that's what you realize more and more when you grow up and when you get a little bit older. Is that it changes. It doesn't stay the same. There is a moment where, when you're young, you think that life is there and it will not change. You have this feeling, and then you understand that it changes. And I think cinema changes because it has. I mean, because we all change. But I don't think there is a particular changing. We have a different way of looking, a different relationship to time, a different relationship to listening. But there is, as I told you before, that we have to protect the relationship to image.
I thought I did, but I'm not sure it was well. It was right nearby where the street crosses the boulevard. There's lots of Mexican down there.
It's true. The museum context is more open because people can move, go in, go out, go backwards, get closer and see the work again and walk. Close their eyes and open again. But at the same time, it's our task and it's our responsibility to create a space for the viewer to work also in the film. If you take the example of Dest, I don't know if I would say that there is more space of experimentation in the installation than in the film. Because in the film you can really build your own journey. The thing is that a film works in time. There is a beginning, a middle and an end. And of course you stay seated and you don't move when you see a film. But your body is involved and you live the tension of the film, and you create your own gaze and your own thinking through the film. So I think it's really two different approaches. I'm not sure there is really, it's more open to experiment, because it depends also on the involvement of the viewer. It's also possible to go in an exhibition and just walk and not experiment. It's not that different. For us, as when we were building the works, we liked very much to work on the installations, to create the installations, because we were feeling much more free. But it was because the process was different. We didn't have a production company waiting for, with too much financial issues, and we were really inventing, building at home, at Chantal's home, the two of us, like bricolage, we say in French, and we loved that. So the process was more free, but we were working on the same tension, and the tension that exists in a film from the beginning to the end, we were reworking it and recreating it in the space. Chinese language and philosophy have influenced my work, but I really didn't know that it would when I was interested in it. And but now that I think about it, I understand that in fact the Chinese language is the Chinese writing is association of images that create signification, and even several layers of signification. And I was fascinated by this way of writing. And I was also very interested in Taoism, because Taoism gives a very important place to emptiness. Emptiness being the place where all the vital breaths meet, and that life can appear. And I have very strongly the feeling that in my process of editing, I really work on the association of images in the same way, I mean, that it comes from this interest in Chinese language, and that also this space of thinking, of feeling that I try to build in each film is very much linked to this Chinese philosophy. There are many other aspects that were very important to me, and that I think I recognize in how I work today is, for example, the Chinese poetry of the Tang Dynasty. The poems were made of words, but there were never pronouns or never words that would explain a psychological state. It's made more with words that suggest colors or matière like wood or marble, and the cold and also movements or verbs, but it's never explanations. It's images put together and that create signification, or even describing a state of mind by describing a feeling. So, and it's true that in my editing work today, I don't like to explain psychologically things or what led anybody to do this, or it's more about a way of looking, a way of putting things together.
我一到院子回来以后，我满天批注大道往市民大字报，很厉害。对，我很害怕这时候。
Yeah, of course. I think I think that's why people want to be sure of the signification the signification of a movie, because the space for thinking is a political action, which can be dangerous, and that's why Chantal's work is so political, because it gives a space of thinking. And in films it's very obvious, but also in artworks, in the art world, for me it should be more open, and I have the feeling that it's too often very conceptual. It's like you have to understand the purpose of an exhibition, or even you have guided visit with people who explain what you have to see, which is for me the contrary of the process of meeting art. I think people are very afraid of emptiness, and when I was telling you about how we can resist to the flow of images today, it's with time and with respecting emptiness, of course. Yes, of course. I mean, it's all the purpose of the editing is to build a film that respects this mystery, and but that creates a tension that gives you that puts you in movement. So it's all the process of editing is transforming the substance and the desire of the filmmaker in a film which has its own movement, and that you can share. Really, not very often. It happens. Usually, I don't know. I have maybe I'm very lucky. Maybe people who want to come to work with me, they're interested in the way I work. So usually there is a very beautiful encounter. I'm currently working with an Iranian filmmaker, a woman called Bani Khoshnoudi. It's a very important encounter, and I had never worked with her before. But of course it happened a few times, really very few, that we didn't really meet. But I think that the reason is probably that people wanted to work with me not for the good reasons. Maybe because some people, they are interested in the fact that I worked with Chantal Akerman, which is not the only reason. I think it's or people. I remember one filmmaker was a young guy. He was, I think, afraid of making a film that was not right away understandable. So we had made a very beautiful film, and then he was afraid of his film, and so he said it was a beautiful experience, but he wanted to make a more banal and classical film. So he changed the film. Well, it's his film, but for me, almost each time it's a beautiful journey and a discovery. At the beginning, I always feel it's difficult, and before I used to say it to my friends, well, it'll be difficult. Now they don't believe me anymore, because I always say the same thing at the beginning, and at the end I'm very happy. You know, usually people, filmmakers, young or even less young, they're happy to have have this path that's open and with to have a space to trust, to really take time to let things come and to find something that's really right. It's really wonderful to do that.
Alors, à la semaine prochaine.
I'm not sure it's liberating not to follow the classical storytelling. For me, it's important to respect the fact that the cinema is an art, and art is supposed to help us to watch, to listen, to feel, to live, and to think. It's not supposed to help us to forget time and forget ourselves. It's supposed to help us to maybe question who we are, how we look to each other, how we look to the others, and that's the real purpose. That's why I search for films that are open and that help us to have this position and this way of thinking.